Today's garden party is held under the auspices of the President of Ireland's Ethics Initiative. It's an initiative which I launched in November 2013 as a project to stimulate discussion across all sectors of Irish society on the challenge of living together ethically and what it demanded at this second decade of the 21st century. So may I thank each and every one of you for travelling from all over Ireland, as you have this afternoon. And whether you're here as representatives of community groups, charities, or professional bodies, or as members of third-level institutions who have engaged with the Ethics Initiative already, or are planning to do so, or simply as citizens who've written to me, as so many of you have, to express your interest in this initiative, I wish to convey my gratitude for your contribution in initiating what you have done or expanding the public discussion that is now underway on the values and principles by which we live together as a society. I'm also particularly delighted to welcome some representatives from the daily print and broadcast media. The Fourth Estate has an essential role in reflecting, provoking, and even stimulating this national conversation on collective values. So I want to thank you for the coverage that you may have given already to the initiative to date and the enthusiasm that so many of you have shown for it. Of course, I'm well aware that there are many complex and interesting questions as to ethics which speak directly to journalists, editors, and media owners too. Although maybe I should leave that for the more liberated and animated conversation during our refreshments and to enable you to recover. A collective assessment of our contemporary ethical norms and values is something that I believe that is both important and timely. As Ireland is emerging from a crisis that has not only economic, but also political, social, intellectual, and I believe moral ramifications. More broadly, the Irish people, as indeed are other nations of the world, are called upon to tackle the great challenges of uncertain and volatile times, be it in relation to developments in technology and science and their application, their appropriate delivery, or be it in relation to development, economic and financial globalization, unsustainable levels of inequality and poverty, the scale of migrations worldwide, the enormous increase in conflicts based on ethnic or faith systems, and most urgently, global climate change. In short, we are collectively and urgently challenged to find a distinctive and engaged moral voice, to be conscious actors acting creatively rather than passive targets in the current global flux of disintegrating models of social, economic, and political life. Circumstances that challenge the participatory core of democracy itself. We are challenged by our contemporary condition to articulate answers that are intellectually original and morally grounded to face those complex issues that our society now faces. And as we endeavour to do so, the first intellectual step might be, I suggest, that of unlearning. It is my profound conviction that in order to recover the ability to generate fresh and innovative thinking, we may first need to unlearn some of the unquestioned assumptions that underpin contemporary public discourse on what is taken to constitute prosperity or the good life or the false inevitabilities that serve as an impediment to our creative thought and actions. There is in particular a pressing need, and you will have heard or read in many of my speeches, and I repeat it this afternoon, a need to critically examine the ethical implications of some of the assumptions that guide the hegemonic theories within the discipline of economics, for example. Assumptions that are not morally neutral and that have come to permeate very deeply not only policy making, but also the way we conceive of our lives together. Assumptions that suggest, for example, that generalized competition is the core impulse of human life. Suggestions as to the inevitability of unrestrained self-interest and conceptions of value has been confined by methodological definition to what is measurable. Such assumptions have become so pervasive and have caused so much damage in our collective life that we are morally challenged, I suggest, to confront them. And in seeking then to invigorate a wide public debate on ethics, I thought it appropriate to begin by inviting Irish third-level institutions and the Royal Irish Academy to rise to the challenge I outlined to them, and to do so in whatever form they thought most suited to their ethos and academic strengths. And I find it greatly encouraging the positive response that Irish universities, institutes of technology, and the Royal Irish Academy gave to that invitation, the profusion of stimulating ideas that they have put forward, and their commitment to organise some 50 events across the course of this year and beyond was a great beginning. And we are now on to the second phase. And this demonstrates that our academic institutions, when invited, can play an important part in nurturing alternative ways of thinking. And it shows that the Irish academic community is eager to recover the moral purpose of original emancipatory scholarship. So may I extend my sincere thanks to all of you here who have contributed to this collective endeavour and who plan to cooperate with it. And my hope is that having made such a good beginning among students and academics, that the debate on ethics will garner momentum at all levels of Irish society. Of course, I'm conscious of the difficulties in getting ethics, as I put it in another speech earlier this month, out of the ivory tower and the pulpit, back down into the market square. But I have an instinct and trust that such an enterprise is resonating with the Irish public for the simple reason that it is a reflection many Irish citizens have already undertaken. As members of a small society which has been affected more than most by the global financial crisis, Irish people have been led to an abrupt and, I have to say, painful realization that the challenge of living together in a way that permits human flourishing cannot be delivered merely by relying uncritically on the unquestioned operation of the market in areas essential to our lives together. And scholarship and experience tells us that humans are far less calculating than the so-called Homo economicus of so many heavily used contemporary economics textbooks, and that the invitation to view the citizens of the world as simply rational, self-interested utility maximizers has inflicted deep injuries on our moral imaginations, including our capacity to conceive of our relations with others at home and abroad and with our natural environment. And I am convinced that our citizens are willing to move beyond anger and recrimination as a simple, unreflective response to recent difficulties. They are eager to discuss a new set of principles by which they might represent and project their lives together, and with all those with whom we share our common and fragile planet. Needless to say, then, I very much welcome and will welcome your suggestions on how to best encourage a public discussion of ethics that is as wide-ranging as possible and engages communities across the island of Ireland. And I also wish to avail of this occasion to announce that I intend to host an event in Áras and Uachtaráin in the spring of 2015 that will bring together the results of the various strands of this ethics initiative. And in the meantime, however, now, for this afternoon, Sabine and I invite you to enjoy the day and the company. We have delicious food that was prepared at the crack of dawn this morning by staff who came in as light was breaking. We have great music for you, and we hope that this afternoon will be propitious to novel encounters and interesting discussions. On your behalf and on my own, I want to thank all of the staff here in Áras and Uachtaráin for their hard work. They make all this possible, for their unfailing good humour, and not least their culinary skills. There are gifts which contribute in no small part to the success of this afternoon's party. I want to thank the Civil Defence who are with us again and right through this season of garden parties to be of assistance to us. I want in particular to thank as well the cavalry who accompany outriders who regularly accompany me to different events in Ireland here, and also, above all, to Captain John Dicker, who is from the Army workshops in the Curragh camp, for making available to us Slieve Naman, making available to us our own, for making available as well to us a United Nations vehicle, and they will be here for the season of the garden parties. They make it interesting for all of the people who visited these garden parties. May I thank our talented MC for this afternoon, Claire Bunn, and our fantastic entertainers, Rogino, Kieran Hanran and his special guests, the Henry girls, and Dominic Magorian. And of course, I'm particularly delighted that they're not just old friends, they are still very young, that my friends of a long time, Steve and Joe Wall of the eponymous band The Walls, are performing for us today. So enjoy the house, the gardens, make yourself at home. Buenig is saltas and law, agus harein radelia, bigi errol huvnas. Thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. Enjoy every moment.
Slip away in space, drifting, a smile upon his face. There's no turning back, what's done is done. He's heading for the bright and shining sun. People on the other side, the people who passed through your life, their faces seem to fade away somehow.